Welcome everyone to another live stream. We avoided live stream on this channel a little bit because YouTube algorithm promoted it so much, but it's time to release the next release of our increasingly popular T2 Linux, where increasingly everything and even either plug and play just works. And yes, of course, Itanium, SGI Octane, O2, PS3, PowerPC, RISC-V, you name it. So let's build this increasingly popular Linux from scratch here on a Ryzen like cross compilers for a couple of CPU architectures like ARM and MIPS. What will possibly go wrong this time? Unfortunately, or fortunately, we had lots of updates, Rust compiler, and so on. So usually something breaks, and because we know already some things break, let's revert that here shortly. So that actually, so this is LVM 18. We already know that currently does not work. So much to it's in the news, but it doesn't even work. This is modified, so revert that too. So that is all. I quickly need to revert that before the live stream. That should all be 18. That was not yet committed. Also, we need to be careful. LVM conf, did we? Okay. Oops. LVM. Where was it? It's there. I do this live that you see what it takes, right? It's always one more thing. And of course, usually this big major updates usually break something, sometimes more than this. In this case, actually, it does build mostly, but Rust segmentation faults, as the Rust compiler interfaces with LLVM, the low-level virtual machine compiler infrastructure. And that are the usual things that we need to deal with here. Welcome, everyone. I hope audio is fine. GCC, yeah, that was the latest version. So let's revert that. Oops, without less. Is that all? GCC conf git. What was that here? Is that it might be LVM? Ah, it is LVM. So many packages, even I lose overview. And then we also have locally the Linux kernel update. That actually mostly works, but we always wait for .1. Yeah. So basically this will be the release before LVM 18. So I want to put out one release of this very stable state before GCC major release is coming. Linux major release is out, but we wait for .1, and LVM also is out. Also the other day it was more like a release candidate. I believe it was organized. Did they? Oh, now they are. They even have 1.1 in the meantime. So yeah, so somehow they went from 18.1. So okay, zeros. I mean, this sounded a little bit release candidate-ish, but we want a stable release, right? It helps nothing if we day after day fix bugs and regressions here, and then some random LVM update breaks something. We have anyway one new thing, which I'm not yet entirely sure, which is the Linux kernel, when built with Clang, as so many people nowadays prefer, and LTO for more performance and size and so on. Then with the latest Linux kernel 3.8, at least I've not previously seen that, right? So our T2 trunk, Git master thing builds, but at least in my testing, the latest Linux kernel 3.8 breaks internal compiler errors, Clang, and some IPv6 files. So yeah, there is that. How do we probably mkdir, that is modified and one deleted. So probably we mkdir. I could move that anywhere. Should I? I mean, maybe I just move all of this stuff here into 6.8 and clean up, and then I have here 6.8 to restore. That's probably the easiest. So I basically just made sure my working copy is mostly clean, except some hot fixes from the last build, some already preparation for GCC 14. This here, by the way, we did the other day. We can delete that too. And then basically we probably minus always some uncommitted things, GCC 14. Not even sure what that was. It needs, oops, package here. Oh, it's an update. Does it build? Let's quickly build that. And then also, so what is also new? So I expect we need to live fix some issues. We could also, because we need, let's also turn on the, can I build that? Let's also turn on the 5950X, because it builds, amazing. So it's basically what all the Linux distributions do all day, right? Okay, we also don't need to commit that then, that's mostly noise. There goes one more update, and then let's build one mainline. Let's basically evaluate how much broke, because I expect, what do I expect to break? All right, there is some, at least probably the new Spear V. What was the intended pronunciation? What do I always say? I always say Spear V, but I believe they want it pronounced Spear 5 for this Vulkan OpenGL shader stuff. And all right, we also need, okay, let's, the builds I cleaned. Okay, we need to build our, change our, because I renamed the package selection templates for better ISO names, so that our ISO names are less confusing. So this is now base desktop to sound nicer, and that is base Wayland, and that is base. So I just renamed that today. There's always one more improvement, right? There's also polishing. That is what all the big vendors like Apple, Microsoft, all the 2000 Linux distributions, they all do similar stuff. And this is just, I realized myself that the naming was confusing. What bothered me personally the most is that what is now base Wayland was until yesterday was minimal Firefox. And so that was my biggest problem with this. And the problem is we can't currently, despite all our efforts, which is amazing that you share, like, and subscribe, and Patreon and GitHub sponsor and stuff, we still need to fix Firefox for PowerPC and MIPS. It builds there. On MIPSL, it actually works, but on most big engine architectures, it's currently segmentation faults, so there is some stuff to do. And the problem is then we built base Firefox, the previously minimal Firefox, but on PowerPC, we currently don't have Firefox, right? So then people download this and like, yay, finally Firefox for PowerPC again. And then the only package that is missing is Firefox, which is the biggest reason to rename that here. And yeah, of course, the naming is not always ideal. Currently, the lightweight example desktop is XFCE, which everyone wants something else, right? And I just, like, if you want KDE GNOME, you can, of course, using T2, just emerge that from sources. And what do we have here? I believe that I renamed base. No, basically, I think the base naming, because minimal, of course it's minimal base, but I think base sounds way nicer. And the big change is that is now Wayland, because it stacks up. So its base is minimal command line for you to download T2 ISOs and stuff, or use this amazing Linux from scratch build architecture for your embedded and commercial target needs. So all the stuff stacks, right? It's base, then it's base Xorg for all those vintage and retro stuff. Then desktop for Xorg plus XFCE. I name this desktop not XFCE because we might change this yearly, right? Like if next year some minimal lightweight desktop is significantly better performing and feature rich, this is why I leave it desktop, and then whatever is the best that year we might change it, not constantly rename it. Yeah. And then Wayland, because Wayland is in some additional Wayland stuff and Firefox, but some Firefox, so that is the reason for the name, right? Firefox might be missing until we find enough time and resources to finally fix it again. It's not like the Mozilla Foundation would fix Firefox was. Another change is, let's build that and build all Arch x86-64 parallel 32. I specify this manually because otherwise my build the world for you playing along at home front-end driver here would build 36 configurations, and I first want to evaluate how much is broken, because we did so much the last week, so many new contributors, so many updates, Qt6, KDE latest, 6 Plasma, already at 6.02, right? Oh, wait, there's also one small Firefox. I don't think it's, what was it, 100, where are we? Are we at that, 120? I guess it's at, I saw this morning there is 01. Let's quickly update to that too. Usually it's just like some video captures on Mac OS or whatnot, or Windows crash. Usually not relevant for us, but we can, so why not? Another change is, and that is why stuff is growing and agile evaluated. I was for the last years wondering, also live on YouTube here, how often should we release? Theoretically, I could build all 35 architectures from ARM to RISC-V or x86. I could build them weekly. My 1750XS highly optimized T2 Linux is builds all of that in 48 hours, plus manual fixing of what the latest regressions are. Again, today we will at least fix SPIRF tools, probably, because it didn't build the other week for me. And that was somehow annoying to fix. Let's see if we can quickly fix that. And we could do a lot of things, right? The question is, does it make sense? Actually, if I would build up-to-date T2 ISOs every week, I could do that, except energy consumption, but the biggest problem would actually be storage. We can scale cloud and data center storage, but it's simply quite exhaustive storage even for just a gigabyte for our minimal, highly optimized desktop things. And due to that, I came to the conclusion it probably makes the most sense. Like basically, I would build a lot of things, fill up cloud storage and costs, or data center, our own cloud and so on. Cause costs for no big gain, right? So I came to the conclusion just the other day, and that is why we always evaluate things, and it's always best to think with others in a team, with the community, making things stronger, better together, greater together. And we came basically to the conclusion it is desirable to build releases more often, certainly not every week, although we could, but I mean, the benefit would be we would fix things weekly so that our 5,000 packages would build more often due to upstream regressions. But I think the golden middle way is we target, because it makes no sense to constantly put out ISOs that are mostly identical, just proving, yes, it builds, here's a minimal newer Linux kernel and Wayland or libx11. That makes no sense, right? But what does make sense is to put in between, like target probably 2 major releases a year, which is already more than even Apple does with macOS. So that certainly makes sense basically when there were major updates like soon GCC 14 or what it is, LVM 18, some new Linux kernel, 6.8 and so on. That certainly makes sense. Basically 2 times a year when major stuff updated and actually the stuff is building. And in between, what I will try to target, so the big releases will be for all currently 36, probably soon more. We have analog devices, Blackfin DSPs to fix. We previously supported that, that's currently broken. We have some other obscure things to add to T2 just because we can, like, I'm not sure, maybe we're currently not building C-Sky or Tile. There are a bunch of, or Renaissance, whatever. There are a bunch of more CPU architectures theoretically supported by GCC and some Linux kernels, some recently deleted. So we will support those over the years just because we can. If someone wants to run Linux, T2 Linux on some internal combustion engine controller or refrigerator industrial machine, things like that. But in all seriousness, embedded product, like people reverse engineer or have other cool things, why not support it, right? But in between the all architectures build releases, I will try to every other month in between, depending on if something somewhat major is, build like about 4 ISOs for the mainstream architectures, right? Because obviously very few people have an SGIO2 or certainly more Apple Power Macintosh. And so just why do I want to do that? First of all, it's always good for those people who do not want to compile everything at home to have a base ISO with the latest Firefox and so on, but also for us to actually monitor that everything builds, right? It's nothing more annoying. 6 months later, you want to build all those ISOs, as usually seen here on my channels, and there are regressions everywhere, right? Linux kernel doesn't build anymore, GCC doesn't bootstrap, like GNUT and whatnot. Actually, this is enabled. These things this probably should build. GNUT, GNU, ADA translator. That's completely. Oh wait, why is Go? Wait. GCC Go. Okay. So that's the new plan, right? About 2 times a year, but not timely, because timely sucks. Even with working on the stuff daily, it's hard to keep everything building. So it will be plus minus a month whenever the time is right, that everything is in working order or the right release versions of Linux kernel and GCC. And in between, like today, basically we can do that while we, I also started the 15 flicks. Let's do one more thing on the, all right, we probably can commit this already on the 15 and 50X. Nothing, the only substitute for processor cores are more processor cores. And allegedly a many core RISC-V system is on the way. So don't forget to share, like and subscribe for high thread count, high performance RISC-V stuff coming hopefully soon. What everyone is waiting for. That's just so that is just some rearranging, some comments. Just need to review my stuff. What was our reverse and build order? Yes, just tempfs changes. That is all right. x86 we renamed. Did I rename that at the? Yeah, 46. So our new ISOs will also have the name 46 because I recently decided 486 doesn't cut it. We still built it for all the non-Pentium vintage and retro stuff, being the last to support this. But to avoid confusion, the new ISOs will be from now on released as 486 and 686. So we will additionally add 686. I added that to avoid confusion, right? So do I even have that here? Hopefully somewhere. Yeah, 686. So that is new, and that is currently making 36. I mean, yeah, you see, we can just build it, right? So that's what we do. Not sure why this probably maybe internal compiler around also. Whatever I hear smartest, maybe I see. Yeah, the usual upstream stuff is not entirely stable. 486. Okay, that is tune. That's probably not the biggest effect, but maybe a little for tuning more for out of order execution. Right, RISC-V probably can do Clang actually. Maybe that. Oh, this is also a typo. And that is why you should always, why I and you should always double check stuff before committing, right? And what's not tested is broken. Case in point here. RISC-V 64. The question is, then we need to, okay, we leave it like this. Don't unnecessarily change the stuff here. So what else do we have here? Some Tmux, what is this, libc? I believe I made that automagic, probably. I think we can delete that. If not, if it's not fully automated, then I need to fix it. And then, so that is building. I'm expecting GLSL, so there probably soon will be something to fix. And yes, that's comic code. Happy you enjoy this. We will. I got reports, so I turned on the 5950X, so that is that. Let's see, latest updates, some random stuff in here. Is it anything serious or just the core dump? Okay, there is some stuff. Okay, but we don't need to build in this one here. I probably usually have some even cleaner. Is it fully clean? It's also not fully clean. Yeah, that is how much our team and I data and so on. Yeah, some working copies too. Always some experimental changes. I hope that is fully clean. I finally find here how many version control checkouts do you need to find? Even that is not fully clean. I don't even remember what that was about. It's like, yeah, we are busy. If you're wondering, right? Our team and I and my company, we are busy with things. So also we probably need to support dark theme. What is that here? Init RD. I don't even remember why I did that. I think that fixed something on the risk 5555 unmatched thing. Oh wait, do we have? No, we don't. Good, but this is mostly clean. Oh yeah, somewhere some core dump. That is usually some tools core dumping, right? So do we have here anything else? So here, let's build, because I got a report, let's build something similar here, but that will be Arch 486 parallel 32. Again, the default is to stack, as I previously explained, to optimize the build time. We build 36 release variants, and to make best use, like builds is the fastest because all the packages are not the most parallel, right? A lot of configure and other things run, unfortunately, serial. So to make sure 59, 17, and 50X or even Epic Threadripper are fully loaded, I build multiple ISOs in parallel, and that is why the defaults of this script are parallel 12 or whatever, and then with a sleep of 6 minutes, so like basically staggering all these different builds to be able to maximize resource utilization and build 36 release ISOs, cross-compile them all on 17 and 50X in just 48 hours. So yeah, reports are that Rust compiler breaks for 486. I'm not sure if I have a state. I should basically also, there's always some more thing, right? I basically need to further improve infrastructure. If 59 and 17 and 50X are not enough, storage, area network, and so on, booting, because currently they have a local state. That's not ideal. Theoretically, the best actually would be to change those build nodes to boot networked from read-only root, from T2 snapshots and stuff, because there can always be other build regressions of Rust or GNAT, the GNU ADA translator, or other things not bootstrapping because of some not ideal, like from daily development and fixing things here, corrupted or not 100% perfect state, like Python, setup tools, all the other modern stuff, right? Mason, Ninja. Also, actually, my coffee is getting cold. So I expect GLSL. We're testing 486. There are probably other things we can do, and welcome for tuning in. Probably should quickly check the comments. So we can also, so the load is that, right? Some good BTOP load here. Also BTOP, actually, do they have a new release? Because that actually has a regression. It's always a little bit of win-win. Some 132, what do we have? We have that. Because as you see when you launch it, oh no, it doesn't. But because I resized it. Yeah, if there's not enough space, like previous versions until 1.3 of BTOP just clipped that. Now if there's not enough space, then it doesn't draw the... but the funny thing is, it's, as you see now, Yeah, so there is some resizing clipping bug, because if I just launch it, it's empty. So if someone wants to fix it, I've not really, like, I can't fix everything, right? I fix SGI, PS3, but there is a limit of what BTOP thread visualization I should fix. Coffee cup, yes. Also, my company recently thought for all the YouTube live streaming I deserve a new coffee cup, so cheers. It is latest. My company making sure that I stay motivated and code. So one quick look. That is the serialized, like what you see there. It's probably serialized. So like this is either could be LTE or either serial configure, CMake, Meson, Ninja, you name it, or in this case potentially just LTO linking. And that is why I stage all the builds, right? And I stage them. So if I would build all, I stage them, I stagger them like a staircase or so to say, for CPU load, with 6 minutes currently, also I believe, apart. Otherwise, all the GCC and Clang, of course, they would not be totally synchronized, because building PowerPC and x86 has different build time characteristics for register allocation and other performance differences, but they would still be somewhat synchronized, right? So that is why I stage them with 6 minutes or so apart by default, so that all those gaps of CPU load are better utilized and filled out. And of course, by the way, did I enable it? New installations of T2 enable SetRAM, but this is not the latest, I believe. Yeah. SetRAM file size. What do I have? 96 gigs of, I believe I use 20. This is also somehow, if this would be my kernel, this would auto-load, but somehow it doesn't. Maybe I should I put on my to-do number 668, make kernel infrastructure load SetRAM on. It's like, why does this not auto-load? Why is there like, even with dev FS 15 years ago, this had infrastructure to auto-load, but so new installations of T2 do this automatically. That's also, I basically should network latest read-only image. Do we have those expensive espresso machine at home? No, I don't. We don't have a coffee machine at home. At home I have this Bialetti or so, this thing, because I refuse, despite my vintage and retro hardware collection, we have a vintage coffee, we have a fully automated coffee machine in the office, and that's it. And at home I live more minimal. It's like this Bialetti thing, coffee there on the induction stove, and I don't need a machine and stuff for everything. I also don't need too fancy. I mean, I'm realistically coding all day in the office anyway, so it's. My wife doesn't need such fancy coffee, so she just enjoys her. I mean, I wouldn't drink it. I mean, maybe if my girl would drink sophisticated coffee, but for her somehow this instant coffee thing is enough. I would not drink this. I mean, I'm not buying it for her. She decided for herself that's enough. So then it's not me to argue that I wouldn't drink it, but that's why if I drink not instant but real coffee at home, this Bialetti or whatever, not a paid advertisement, is enough. But anyway, fancy coffee for the office it is. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, little padawans. Let's see. Is this everything building? That's building. Good. The GLSL Spear 5 tool, I tried to fix this a week ago and it was somewhat annoying. And if we are lucky, a contributor changed the package config file. If we are super lucky, maybe it was just a package config file. That also happens. Absolutely set, right? Recurring theme. The most trivial, stupid, simple things are broken, right? And it is very well be that like a week or two ago, I was trying to make it work and it didn't instantly work. It's like, do you have better things to do? And it's entirely possible that, because I was wondering like why the heck does it not find its things and stuff, it's entirely possible it was just a wrong path, a wrong libtier encoded. It's like, yeah, sometimes it's that stupid, right? And even if people were laughing at me not using a fancy IDE, now I use Emacs more often live on YouTube. I hope you're happy now. A full-blown freaking high-end IDE like I do for 25 years usually. It's like, it's nothing like an IDE helps you when some base build infrastructure stuff like even with grep I didn't install. I mean, you need to read the log files, and nowadays with some modern configure stuff like CMake and stuff, often Meson, Ninja, oftentimes the log files are not even, I mean, first you need to find the log files in CMake. I believe they are in object-dir, CMake, whatnot, right? Like 2024, even finding the log files is a grep challenge. So yeah, let's see what fails. And then, so this takes 2 hours. Maybe we don't do all of that live, depending, maybe we have 80 concurrent viewers, which is amazing. Certainly a new record here for my channel, which is certainly nice to see that all our Linux efforts, including vintage and retro parallel IDE, goodness, and RISC-V, small board computer things, are popular. But that is certainly nice to see that people want to see us working on all this stuff. We can do some other updates, all right, or even GDB. So some of the stuff even downloads here now. This is even slightly slow. Why? 0 drop frame. So maybe we should actually. So usually I have all downloads here on my system. That is only because I also worked in other systems and virtual machines. Let's download this. So our build system, of course, downloads this on demand, but let's speed this up a little bit and make sure everything else is there by downloading config x86-64 required. All right, I wanted to. So we will also do some more things now. After I check the comments, giving some appreciation to all your chats. Amazing as always. Skills. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Comic code. What is your origin story? What do I mean with this? Favorite Linux? Do you have a favorite Linux? Yes, our own, of course, man. Favorite Linux, don't delay. Try the one last Linux you will ever need with, since yesterday, working ISA plug-and-play support in PowerPC, PS3, SGI, Octane, like all necessities for gracious open source living. What other life story, origin story? I do this for 25 years, right? Previously at Rock Linux, 25 years ago, first I did the desktop part of Rock Linux, and then became stable release maintainer, and eventually, due to many things, and as it usually is, we had to fork it in 2003 or so. So for 20 years it is T2, the continuation of Rock Linux. How much more? Philosophy books. I don't have philosophy books. I have code books and Lord of the Rings. Yeah, actually, comic code is, I wanted to troll the YouTube audience with code so comical, buggy that you need comic code, but I didn't expect that I like it. I mean, it started as trolling YouTube with comic code, but I actually like the readability. It is actually, fun fact, I believe, it is somewhat close to the Sun open firmware font, right? So the, yeah, old school. So some had some, or at least in the Linux kernel, was it? At least even the Linux kernel. So the irony is 20 years ago, when I first had Sun Spark systems, also some microcode download failed. Thank you very much. Some of this GDB download is really slow. That certainly sucks if you want to build something. That is also why we should have stuff on our mirrors, man. How can a download be that slow in this day and age? When the GNU Free Software Foundation Internet is even slower than the German capital Internet. Yeah, ironically, the Sun framework font I didn't like the most. Was it? I believe even the Linux kernel has a Sun font. I never checked if they are identical. I think I patched it away. I believe previously we had I've even patched the Linux default frame buffer logo, since this is now, so this is for marketing reasons, and also because the tux is just boring in the meantime, right? 30 years later, I guess we are done with the tux, right? But also the Linux kernel has different tuxes for alpha, so probably most people don't know, but actually the Linux boot logo tux has an alpha PowerPC sun. Sun has a sun on the belly of tux and even Super H. And recently, some months, I patched them away because I got tired of those after 30 years. And so now we have a T2 logo for marketing and visibility, and I disabled, for that good measure, all the Sun, Alpha, PowerPC, and so on, so that all T2 builds all come with the same T2 logo for branding. And because our kernel is the most patched and amazing for P3, and then when people take our binaries and mix them for all their hobby needs or embedded use cases, then it's at least some T2 promotion, right? And then you at least see, if you see the boot and stuff, like if you see, then you see that it's actually amazing T2, just working T2 Linux. How can this bloody download be that slow? You know what? Let's that is really disappointing. So what's going on? 46 also building. We can change that slightly because the default, many lessons even I learned the last years live on YouTube. We have a max size here by default for my embarrassingly party builds because for a year or two I wondered why my massive concurrent builds deadlock sometimes, and I thought even hardware instability because usually my, as all the famous YouTubers do, my 70 and 1550X are of course overclocked and are undervolted, PBO optimized, 200 megahertz PBO boost overwritten, and memory DDR4 and DDR5 clocks overclocked and so on. So actually I thought like everything was super stable except when I embarrassingly parallel built the stuff, and then it took me really a year of every month like guru meditating until I came to the realization it is Linux kernel buggy behavior, but behaving as programmed. Basically it was overcommitted memory. Took me a year. I mean, obviously I only looked like once a month. It wasn't a year full-time looking into it, but like after off and on every month, like every time I built the world, eventually deadlock. Like usually I build stuff, I go home, I arrive at home, play with the family and stuff, log into my machine and was dead. So like, what's going on? Memory overcommit, right? Building all in tempfs, saturating tempfs, basically the Linux kernel virtually allocating, overcommitting more memory than it has, and then when it's eventually used, like GCC, LTO, and all the tempfs fills. This is why all those like parallel 12, not building like otherwise 36 times by 32 threads is just too many, right? Like 10, 12 multiplied by 30 builds. Tempfs not for everything. Tempfs still amazing performance boost, but not for too big things, right? All the lessons learned. I would also personally say the Linux kernel shouldn't deadlock, but there is a limit of how much crazy stuff I debug, right? I'm not like, that's how the Linus Torvalds, Alan Cox, and all the other Google and stuff. It is working as intended. It's like you get overcommitted. Like, sure, you can tune memory overcommitted stuff, but it's like, yeah, I'm not fighting this windmills, right? It is what it is. My microkernel should not deadlock like that, but the Linux kernel does. But our microkernel, we still first need to write more. So until then, T2 Linux kernel it is. Oh, this still downloads. This is ridiculous. I wanted to put something on the to-do. What was it? Now I forgot what I wanted to put there. Oh, good story. We will probably remember soon. It's also like, how can this bloody... I mean, I have zeroed up frames. Let's maybe download OBS Studio from Git. Does it also load that slow? Is there some... I mean, this loads probably more snappy. I mean, not ideal. I mean, we don't have such shabby internet. Probably Free Software Foundation. Anyway, so we have some things to do. The other thing is improving Rust Bootstrap. always multitasking. And if you want to see all of this, we also have a Twitch channel, right, which I probably should quickly shout out. We might do for optimizing views and so on, only do this 1 hour, because the longer the live stream, the less people watch. So if you want to follow later on Twitch, we have that too. So all the other random build things and stuff in between would be there. Question there, what do you think of the future of programmers? Jensen Wang said there will be no more need for them in the future. I don't know what is wrong with him. I'm not a fan of NVIDIA anyway, for all the proprietary and never open source with full register level programming supporting reasons. Of course, this is also a totally misguided statement. I have no idea why they did this. There will always be programmers, especially, sure, AI will be getting better, but currently AI is just a statistically prediction of like that statistically in our large language model, that's statistically something that other people do there, and the code often doesn't even build or is not particularly good. It might change, of course, in 10 years' time, but even in 10 years' time, I would say that is similar to, you would say, you don't need handymans anymore or stuff because we now have machines, or you don't need welders because we now have robots or whatnot. And truth be told, even in car manufacturing and whatnot, there is still hundreds, thousands of people working around robot and automation, right? The same will be true for IT code. I would actually say, sure, maybe some jobs are displaced, but I would also say a lot of people write extremely shitty code, and a lot of, I said this before, right, my rant about web development of being rather crappy development, of people often not knowing what's it. I mean, web development being already strangely shitty with HTML and JavaScript and so on and there, and then people make frameworks to fix all the ugliness and stuff, only making it worse. So if some web developer jobs of just clicking frameworks together until something works a little bit are replaced by AI, I personally don't even mind the most. Maybe it is better for all of us if AI writes better code than average web developers. Even my job might be displaced eventually, but I would still argue, I always said this, do more theoretical computer science. There are too many people just doing practical stuff. There is plenty of demand of theoretical research and like basically working. There will always be people working on the next generation of AI or other infrastructure and stuff, or more applied computer science with more mechanical and electrical engineering and stuff. Sure, there's always, again, AI is a tool. My personal opinion is currently not even very good. And we are certainly just at the beginning. That is like basically our, even despite 10 or 20 years, I basically probably should cut this into a dedicated AI thing, but it's not a 1-minute answer, right? It's basically, if I hurry, it's a 5-minute answer. But we are certainly at the first level of AI, similar to, we are basically, despite 30 years of or 30 or more years of research and maybe 10 years of somewhat modern applied AI or whatever, plus minus give or take, we are, of course, doesn't take a genius to say we are at the first steps, the first level of AI, first generation. That is similar to the first graphic card, think NVIDIA NV1, 3DFX Voodoo, Power VR, PCX, whatever, and so on, right? Like basically first generation in the 90s, and certainly AI will make quantum leaps every year or two, like basically Moore's law. So, but how soon we will have true intelligent, because currently it's not intelligent, currently it's just statistically prediction of probably it will look like that. So this is for me not very exciting. Also, we need like 10 or 100,000 GPUs to achieve such not particularly outstanding AI results. So there's certainly a way to go. And when we truly will realize truly intelligent general artificial intelligence, similar of data's level of Star Trek Next Generation Data, positronic AI stuff, I have it hard to predict. I doubt it will be 10 years. Maybe like truly artificial, like true intelligence might still be 25 years, but this kind of things, even the most intelligent, famous Ray Kurzweil and other researchers made ridiculous predictions. So I don't want to do a year. I don't know, right? Might be 25 years. I don't think it will be 50. Like, I would actually say probably with a relatively high probability, probably in 50 years, I would expect we have data like general artificial intelligence. Maybe we have already, but whether it will be 20 or 50 years, I can't tell. Not even. So, I mean, nobody can tell you, right? It might already be that maybe in 10 years already, like with extreme advancements, maybe if everything goes extremely well, then we might have extremely good general artificial intelligence in 10 years. But I doubt it. It probably, like from my personal understanding, I would think it probably takes another 20 years for really intelligent general artificial intelligence. And even then, as seen on next generations, they will still doing things. But let's fix bugs here, and it's like probably it would be more popular if I make a dedicated AI discussion. That's like, yeah, you ask a question, you get an answer. But it's somewhat relevant. But I would say there is always, like for good coders, there will for the next 25 years surely be always a job, right? And for sure, some entry-level jobs are like who copy and paste stuff from Stack Overflow and click some frameworks together for their web deployment. It's like, sure, those jobs are maybe not the most needed, and maybe those jobs were not the most valuable to start with, but it's not like we cannot not do AI just to have some entry-level copy and paste jobs to yeah. But leave in the comments below what you think. That's my general ballpark. Some points near future, Stack Vault, AI sophisticated pattern. Yeah, I mean, AI current AI is just sophisticated statistical, not really, pattern, statistic database extraction or so, but yeah. Come there, feel that's really optimistic. At the end of the day, AI right now pretty much ultra limited, trained set on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why for the next 10 years, I don't understand. My point is I don't understand. Like that's why. I mean, maybe he has an agenda of. Maybe he wants less competition to go into that field or whatnot, or the most successful people just see Elon Musk are not necessarily the most intelligent, right? I mean, besides Elon Musk is mostly shit posting all day and so on, and other people run their company, right? Actually, not only is it in the media, but I heard from people who work there that it is truly like that each Elon Musk run company has dedicated people who keep him away from key management so that the key management can actually function and do their stuff, right? It's like, yeah, so much to NVIDIA. I mean, it could be that it's his opinion, then I just disagree. Maybe he has an agenda of preventing people to get into this field because they want to remain leader there or whatnot. But I find it's a strange comment. At least for the next 25 years. And even then, there will be still programmers working together with AI, similar to today, how manufacturing lines work together with automation and robots and stuff. So we have stuff building. I wanted to do some things in between. And so here actually see the build load pattern stuff. I wanted to improve, so always some things to improve. So what did I, by the way, do in the installer? I have here some change in the installer, which, right, this is, did I test it? I test this, I need to test this more. It's basically enabling non-EFI. Should this work? Actually, I need to I need to actually, yeah, I need to test this before I commit this. I didn't even turn on my second LED here on the power, bench power lip thing. What I wanted to further improve is Rust. Also, we need to disable it actually. I mean, we could build with that, but let's better disable that. Do you see that even? Usually I have it slightly larger for best views for you on your mobile devices. Here's also something failing. Cool. Maybe we need setup tools. This installation is probably even older. Let's maybe locally install setup tools and hope that fixes it. So that is just additional 486 Rust test build because, yeah, recurring theme. I sent upstream 3 and 46 support to Rust, and 2 years later they deleted that. Thanks for that. For that I sensed, why do you not send more stuff upstream? It's like usually when I send upstream, either they don't apply it or they apply it and then delete it again. So, darn. Now this rebuilds for some reason. That's not ideal. With okay, fine. This is only the secondary. Why did this? Probably the subversion config. Okay, fine. And then it rebuilds. So be it how it is. I hope this builds with the right ID because what are we building? We're building x86-64. I believe I changed this to 24. So that's building with 24.3. So Rust. I recently improved this already, and there's still one more thing to improve. This is all the glue code that is required to successfully cross-compile Rust for all architectures. So basically we currently have here unknown, but that is not the right thing to do. The really right thing to do is actually where's our Rust target? Rust, how do we name that? Do we have here somewhere? Here we have, do we have Rust target? Probably that's Rust target, right? Where do we local original target? Okay, we probably have Rust target somewhere. Maybe so I think what we want here truly, because we only need to do this bloody hack because that is a config marginality of the Rust bootstrap stuff, not allowing to they have all configuration based on the host triplet, which might be the same. Like if you bootstrap cleanly on the same architecture, which is unfortunately what you usually do, you can't configure another LVM and so on between host and target. That is what actually mostly breaks here. So basically what we want is if what was it? If it's not unknown, we want basically, can we use local Rust? We can use the local Rust if it's a matching supported version, and there's also what might break. I have the latest Rust installed, but now we're building a slightly older Rust, darn it. There's always, maybe I need to downdate for best performance. Maybe I need to downdate Rust. It's like always some incompatibility. So if it's the same version and we are early in the bootstrap, then we can't use it. So basically, if that is equal to Rust target, if the Rust host is equal to the target, then unfortunately can't use it because we can't configure another LVM version. And then usually we have another LVM version because the host system version is usually different, but even, yeah, because then otherwise it would start to link in the host LVM, and then if you have a different host LVM version or glibc versions and stuff, either doesn't have symbols or starts the segmentation fault randomly. So like just don't do this. So you probably want to check that. We will see that soon. So that was the next thing. Did I have this on my to-do? Allow buildings slightly older. Okay, we did that. Yay! One more line to delete here. Do I by the way have the QXL? 30 vert. Oh. Ah, yeah, I have that here. Maybe I should add here QXL, that I find this better next time. Yeah, as we know, despite building on nearly the most, it's a nightly. What do you mean it's a nightly? Let's see, what do people discuss? Itanium is still actually a thing. The company I work run SAP systems on Linux Itanium, but was replaced. I'm pretty sure some people still, I mean, there will probably still be banks or insurances. It would not surprise me if some banks or insurances still run racks of Itanium. Even, I mean, someone recently, I mean, since we do Itanium, multiple people connected with me already. One said they still have Itanium racks at NASA. Another told me, I of course don't disclose any details for reasons. I mean, so multiple people connected me and contacted me. Some other, I don't know where and why and what, but they appear to have stacks of Itanium machines. So it's not, I mean, you know how long banks and insurances run stuff, right? I mean, I would be surprised if NASA does not have running some Itaniums for years to come. There's probably always, like, if it's only a handful, like maybe one machine there, one machine there, that they don't switch off for the next 10 or 20 years. I would not find that too unlikely. I mean, they were sold until 2 or 3 years ago, right? So it would not surprise me if some insurances or telecommunication stuff or whatnot, maybe even Secret Service government agencies have that running for something in some basement, in some rack or data center for years to come. Which is why it surprises me that everyone is so delete happy. But that is, of course, a new, in my opinion, that's a new open source illness of delete, delete, delete everything. 2 years old, not stated. The latest Epic thread wrapping is not even stable, and the previous gen is already a decade later deleted. So the stuff that actually stable is deleted because it's old. So yeah. 5 years will have models that can generate movies from start to finish. Oscar-winning level. I don't believe. Sure, currently there is, but the thing is, sure, the AI, people still discuss the AI stuff there in the comments, the AI stuff will be able to generate something, but it will not be very good, right? I think it will be glitchy. I mean, it will generate something, but it will be full of glitches and gotchas, like Dew, how can this be so stupid, of missing arms, missing shadows, like, it will render something, it just will not be good, right? And it will probably also not be new work, like transformative new work. In 5 years I adopt this, maybe in 20, certainly in 50, but in 5 years the generated stuff will be bullshit, right? It will be boring shit, non-transformative, non-creative, non-visionary, repetitive stuff that will simply not be good, right? But yeah, five years is very optimistic. I think would be really cool for me. I would be a really advanced compiler, or a microkernel. Hey, I like finally write microkernel. I don't have time because I fix bugs all day. Planning anything in the future, educational, more what you're doing. Yes, I'm not only. So we fixed. I do this for 25 years, right? We had 1,000 contributors in the past at Rocklinks. We actually were relatively big, right? But then people move on. People have midlife crisis, projects break apart, the usual stuff. Even my own best friends don't, like my own best friends who contributed to T2, not to name names here, but like one migrated to America, and the other is busy here with his stuff, right? Like basically other people who not as extremely open source motivated, addicted, or want to make a world a better place. I mean, they're busy with their life, right? They earn more for their living than I do and stuff. So case in point, I mean, even myself, I neglected T2 a little bit, right? I said this before, right? My life story, I maintained T2 the last decade, like as the decade before YouTube, right? So from 2008 to 2018, where I actually myself, shame on me, used macOS for my main desktop because I was sick and tired of the ever-breaking Linux desktop and the low performance. Like, do you remember how slow KDE and GNOME 4 were and stuff? And so on and so on. So even myself, I used macOS for reasons or like earning money, right, for our commercial software for a decade. And of course, I maintained T2. Even in that time, we had embedded in virtualization projects, as you do, as this is our company stuff also. But I maintain, yes, by the way, this test now. Why is this so strangely quoted? Like, what is even going on there? Why is that a thing? Are you kidding me? I've never seen that quoted so strangely. What have I written there? How can this be so? Where was it even? Rust. How can this be? That is bizarre. Does it even make sense? Why would it? That is bizarre. I've never seen such an express. The crazy thing is, even after 25 years, I discover new things here. That is. So what did it do though? Maybe so that is. Actually, my host compiler is unknown. Okay, that's good. I don't quite know why. I mean, once I did this, which version is it even? 176? Okay, and then we can certainly test that like that. I mean, maybe this extended testing for this is really strange. So. Anyway, need to test this further. So my point was, we had to catch up, right? The last 4 years live on this channel, we updated KDE GNOME, got everything to work, even had to do a lot of new infrastructure to support Rust and Cargo, even keeping Firefox building with all those new dependencies. Like we did 10,000s of commits here, right? And now T2, my point is now T2 is in a much better shape now with all the desktop stuff and even probably 1,000 packages newly added and all the architectures fixed to build from ARM to x86 over PowerPC and RISC-V, and even adding new stuff like Longson and RISC-V. Now we can do the next things, right? So coming back to the question, yes, we will do microkernel, not only because I want a new, much more modern kernel for the future, and we can use that also for educational videos, right? You probably definitely want to subscribe to our secondary channel, right? Or more main channel, because depending what the YouTube algorithm is doing, I need to, obviously I need to feed the YouTube algorithm so that it best promotes the channels like every clever businessman would do. So best make sure you also subscribe, because the more educational content, depending what the YouTube algorithm is doing at a given time, might also be more on the other channel. So 486 we built there. Rust, yeah, the problem is no, I don't. We probably bootstrap with local Rust, right? No, I don't have this in the X-trace. We probably build with local. enable local Rust. Yeah, so that should not download, it should build with a local Rust. Apparently that works. So again, this fails usually with incompatible symbols and stuff if it's the same architecture, like cross-compiling on the same architecture like x86. So basically for me, this is why I now the last days improved this. This here. So that was on my to-do. We have more things on the to-do. So what recently? So basically, let's debug one more thing and maybe then move over to Twitch. Basically, that's didn't even come to the Spear V regression yet, or 40. Yeah, so like 10 minutes, we probably find some regressions. Yeah, people agree, still dislike, comments there, still disliking GNOME due to the resource. Yeah, I too, right? So I'm the child of Linux, right? I do Linux since when it was still at its infancy, since 1996-ish, right? When Linux was only 5 years old, I started to use it. I do it since Linux was only 7 years old in 1998. Linux kernel 2.0 or so. I probably started messing around, probably my first things with Linux were even kernel 1 dot something before the much more improved 2.0, whatever it was, 1996, 1997. I use it nearly exclusively since 1998, and so I'm one of those children of the open source movement, from the not first, but early-ish days of Linux. And I hate KDE and GNOME. And I also hate this, although I can't read it anymore. I really get depressive when I read on foronics, yay, they delete stuff, let's applaud and they optimize. And it's like, X and KDE 2 and GNOME 2 were snappy on gigahertz AMD Athlons and whatever Intel Pentium 4 was. And that they write, or 600 megahertz MIPS 64 things of which was bug. And nowadays, not only they removed for all those people, yes, Xorg is still around, previous videos, right? But even when it's mostly broken, only working, don't delay, probably the last Linux you won't ever use on this stuff is T2 Linux, because it's broken everywhere else. I'm the last person who debugs, like recently 6 regressions fixed that segmentation faulted, 2 different regressions that segmentation faulted, another regression that resulted in black output on Matrox and ATI cards, and another regression that resulted in wrong mode setting and stuff. Absolutely mind-blowing. And so yeah, X is still around, not working on most Linux distributions except latest and greatest Wayland and stuff. And even when I fix the stuff to work, then it has shit performance, suboptimal, totally laughable performance. Because why? The gurus of Wayland maintenance have removed the XAA, the previous X, like the decade, 20 years, 30 years old X accelerated architecture, or X acceleration architecture, XAA, that was responsible for the good old-fashioned all cards, all Windows and X accelerators, GUI accelerators had for line drawing, polyfill, bitBLT and stuff, right? So now you only got EXA for the modern cards, which you want to use Wayland anyway with, for like transparent blitting. The problem is EXA, the new, also EXA always had really often pathological cases, and like it's not a very good acceleration architecture. It often like has total blitting, memory reallocation, ping pong transition between VRAM and host memory, and really strange memory access patterns and stuff. Even when EXA was new, it often had shitty performance, right? But hey, it could alpha blend stuff. Wonderful, congratulations. And so they removed, because EXA and Wayland are the future, they removed XAA. So all the old cards that we recently got working again, although they work, they have nearly no acceleration, right? And if they have acceleration, only EXA, which never was particularly amazing. So all the old X applications like KDE, like TVM or whatever, so all the old stuff is not accelerated anymore, right? So even if you could use those cards, they don't have good performance, because the only acceleration they ever had is deleted. So, and that is also why for my microkernel, we will, what I want to do, and what you want to share, like subscribe to Patreon and YouTube membership, GitHub sponsor and so on. Not only write, of course I want to write, my goal is having 90% of the features and 90% of the performance, maybe even sometimes better performance, because the performance is deleted anyway, right? So my microkernel will probably on those vintage cards have better performance than X nowadays with Linux, because it will be accelerated. So I will not work on those vintage Xorg drivers because it's deleted, it's pointless. I'm not fighting that windmills. They can delete and do what they want. X was anyway not the best architecture. So what my new graphic acceleration architecture. So I also have the dream. We will do a minimal. Yes, I know there is L4 and whatnot and new OS and Helen OS, and yes, I know them all in TempleOS. But I also L4, yes. But I want to experiment. This will be a research. I want to do true research and not use someone else, not popular L4 kernel or Helen OS. I want to do true research, and I also want to research on a more optimal, including for vintage graphic acceleration architecture. Because even the Wayland people now want to, 30 years later, they know the famous VIP Xorg and now Wayland developers, they now want to further get away with DRI interface and stuff. Yes, all the Linux interfacing stuff never was particularly amazing. That is why I rather, I maintain enough here. Before you ask why do I not contribute to stuff, like I have no nerves and stuff left to argue with those people who know everything better, and in their way of knowing everything better, mostly delete all the foundation we built over 30 years. They mostly delete it because they know everything better, and after that only the latest works in buggy and less stellar ways. So anyway, let those last Xorg and Wayland people do what they want to do. I do my own research, and also Wayland will never accelerate 2D, good old-fashioned 2D stuff, right? So that is the point there. My microkernel will have a dedicated graphics stack, and this will also not support remote forwarding, at least in the beginning. So it will be similar to what Windows and Mac OS were optimized for. Even vintage, like it will, I want to try not only readable code, right? Because the Xorg drivers are not particularly readable. Vintage 80s, 90s strange C code. So some kind of really nice readable code, probably not, I mean, not C and maybe not Rust, maybe something in between, we will see. But my point is having truly readable reference code, like also minimal. The Xorg drivers are really strangely repetitive and usually a maze, a labyrinth of callbacks and back and forth, and here's something and there, and even I sometimes require an hour to find out where something is going on. So that's my long-term goal, right? Some super tiny, like similar to Minix but modern, with a truly native, like high performance, like basically a BOS of. It will not copy anything from BOS, but I'm only saying like in spirit of like modern high performance but minimal. Certainly I'm not starting with AMD GPU or stuff like for starting with vintage cards, because such drivers I can write in a weekend, and not this modern stuff that takes a whole department at Intel and AMD to maintain. So yeah, sorry, we again, like each time I answer something, it becomes 5 minutes, but we built here anyway. So we will stop soon and move to Twitch, because there is why does this Python stuff? Why does this fail? Why does always something? That is strange, because why does it build Python? I thought we don't. What have I built here even? I thought that should not have Python enabled in that stage. Since when do we build Python? Or do I have a local? Do we? Ah, wait. Python should not even be. Python should not be enabled. This did not apply correctly. Did I not use the build all driver? Something's out of sync here, not really sure what. But this, did I not use? Maybe I did not use this. Did I not use it? Ah, 486. I looked into the wrong. Sorry. But okay, I used this driver. I just looked into the wrong config here. Too many configs. Base Wayland. Does that not match? LDO debug cross. What's wrong here? So we can bootstrap Python, but Python, like, because it usually breaks, I'm tired of it, and we don't ship it cross-compiled by default anymore because it never worked particularly well. And but this, why was something didn't quite? Maybe I did. Did I manually? Maybe I manually built a wrong thing here. Maybe that is how this. A markup. Maybe that is just some local. What did I even do here? No. Yeah, this is just some of this Python stuff is really also annoying. You know what, maybe just skip over this. I want to debug Python in that other build package. Yeah, this stuff is just so complex that each time it fails in different exotic creative ways. I think I built the wrong build here. Let's delete some, just so I don't, just some other old test things. Don't need to be here. Yep. Did Rust, so what was actually, okay, we have maybe then, and that's also the point of, I mean, I'm surprised that it builds, I mean, it certainly shows that we have more contributors than ever, not than ever, we have new it shows that we have new contributors. I mean, I said it before, at Rocket Linux, we were like 100 regular people, even from Singapore, and certainly USA, Australia, Singapore and stuff even. Certainly getting there again, so it certainly shows that not only a small team does that extra code and a handful of others, but more and more people send patches and build this stuff and use it at home as a necessity for successful open source living here. And that certainly shows, because I have the suspicion that today's GLSL, so that is x86, 64. Yeah, this is surprisingly built. Cool, that probably fixes it. Probably, I guess it was truly just the package wrongly hard-coded package config itself. Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's bugs in compilers, bugs in Linux kernel. At the end of the day, even constantly bugs in CMake files, package config files, and so on and so on. So, more comments there. Could you please give me advice? Grow as a developer. Do I need to read a lot of code, or do you write a lot of code? Find, work, and have complex growing. You don't. I don't. I think it's not important to. It's not the quantity; it's the quality, right? Like just reading a lot of code. Like if you only need not the most quality code. Of course, it's hard to find the right project. There, of course, it depends in what field you work, like website and stuff. But find good quality things to work with, whatever those are in your field. Yes, it sounds easier than it is. I'm aware of that, but you ask. And Yes, and also network. I mean, even I probably didn't network enough, like also networking, right? Maybe even do some, contribute in some other major open source projects to network more. Even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just an hour or two a week, just to network and get more known, get your name out there in your field. Just checking here. Questions there, whether I was never tempted to get into Open Solaris or Darwin development. Solaris not, because these old Unixes are an even more awful code base, like even more old-fashioned C and stuff, even less modern. So this BSD Solaris, no, I said this before. Darwin, yes, I had supporting building Darwin stuff, but with T2. But the problem is also, first it was Open Darwin, and then that project failed, because it probably was somewhat Apple employee or friends and stuff. And then it was pure Darwin, or it was other way around. That also doesn't make the most progress. But at the end of the day, I never had time to look into that, but it's also not even the most outstanding code base. I mean, it's also not production ready. Similar to Herd. I mean, if then like more L4 microkernel, because Darwin has this Mach microkernel, which they barely use, so they use the Mach microkernel is simply old and not very high performance and so on. So that is why I didn't lose much not doing Darwin. So this is why I just want my own experimental research field. Like between T2 Linux will of course stay production ready and latest and greatest. Ready to be used now for virtualization embedded, and then I want to explore like new concepts and write new modern, more new modern code and differently, probably partially never before done things. What do you think about eBPF? Nice thing, but it's getting overused. I don't like this mething everything into the Linux kernel, yeah, this is just not. I can just disable that. What was it? We want Rust here, right? So this I just don't have. You can only bootstrap GNUT with GNUT. On my other system I have this. This is just a too old installation. It doesn't matter. I just wanna. Yeah, but even if you just want to test build something, you have here multiple conditions. But it's like, yeah, that's what it is. Dr. Schubert says we definitely need a modern research operating system making together programming language with Oberon. Yeah, I said this before, I dream of my own JIT thing. Like maybe I will even do an own, I mean, that's a little bit of TemploS, like nothing invented here, redoing everything. But if I do some research, I want to do some true research, right? Probably many things we can even reuse for other things, like maybe my graphics stack on Linux or embedded. And the programming language too. But I said it before, I really hate, like, as much as I fully automatically can build all optimization combinations, I really hate that, first of all, I was multiple times hit myself with even my own test installation, or for a decade I used my portable Roadware SSD, right? And then the thing is, I even myself hated, you build something optimized for Zen2, and then for some quick testing, you plug it into your Core 2 Duo MacBook from 10 years ago, and then it doesn't boot because of illegal instructions, right? And then I don't over-optimize often, like I build like for Zen or Xeon, whatever, x86 version 2 for some compatibility, and then even then, I don't get the highest performance personally, and there is so much JIT anyway. Like if we JIT WebAssembly and JavaScript and stuff, like why not JIT more? Like basically my point is, I want, yes, there is Java and stuff. Basically I don't want Java. Basically I want a high performance like one hotspot JIT for everything and all the application code. But anyway, basically I would want to apply the 10% size of the code base and getting 90% of the features and performance. And maybe in some cases, I think this is possible and doable, given how even rewriting all the core utils here, like some minimal copy and move and stuff, in native R language. I mean, now they rewrite everything in Rust in not the most readable code. Maybe some, as I said, if you write everything in 10, because even LVM and Rust I find convoluted and oversized. Like probably I will not manage that alone, which probably why we need to open source it and gather a community. But someone needs to lead that, right? I'm aware there are, by the way, plenty of other research things. There is certainly Minix, there is Helen OS, New OS, you had a Plan 9. There's also Microsoft had Barrelfish. There are even probably things. There's also this monogram, something. I think even from the Berlin, like Humboldt University or so, and people there. Some C++, monogram, something like Managramma OS. Like name already sucks so much that I can't even remember it. So there are of course plenty, plus L4 and all the L4 variants and stuff. The problem, I mean, obviously they all, like, I mean, probably our own research stuff will have a similar fate, some nice thing, prototypes that's not usable for production, but then so be it. At least we can do it together with our YouTube educational videos then, and people still learn something from writing a new OS and outlining all the steps. But many, so the problem with many projects, of course, they do some research stuff and then they don't continue, which is obviously why I built this YouTube channel, to have financial headroom to finance research, something other people like. Maybe also they do research and it's simply not good enough or not working well enough, and so on and so on. There's of course always reasons. And last but not least, what did I want to say? May not like hesitate to change things. Like, yeah, we need to do it clever, right? So for example, I need some nice JIT language thing like think Lua JIT, but for more low-level code. And as seen on Lua JIT, one man can do an amazing high-performance JIT thing, right? Just that Lua JIT is not directly usable for what I want to do. So it's not like it's impossible, right? And you need to create the right infrastructure, because I also actually love Lua, although previous videos, so 5.1 version, not the versions after 5.1, which have strange features. And using, so many things you can actually implement very efficiently in really high, much higher language than C++ and Rust. And because with Rust is so similar low-level-ish that a lot of things with Lua, with strings, yes, with garbage collection, we will need to see. But my point is, I've written in the meantime quite some things, including a full PDF library, a full UI library, and even a scanner driver subsystem, all in Lua 5.1. And the code density is simply outstanding, right? So my concept then will be, here's actually x86, is that, even, I need to check here, even less equal, is that even less equal? I'm not really sure what it, actually need to really debug this Rusty. So what my saying is, I really want this stuff like a compiler in less than 10% of the size, right? I think using the right language, maybe Lua-like language, probably we need to reinvent Lua in some, the new versions are not good anyway, like Lua 5.1 with low-level features. We will see, time will show. That is just some, I have videos about this 4 years ago, right? And now that T2 is in SUC live on this, I didn't even have to fix most regressions. The regressions I wanted to fix didn't even show up, because I was like, so good is our work now. All our community, including Thomas there, Dr. Schubert, Frank, Notek, everything, Matic, Cool, Luke, and stuff. It's like, yeah, that is stronger together, build a community for your open source projects, and then a year later, everything just works, even live on YouTube. I mean, plus minus some small regressions for 86. Allegedly, Rust should be broken, right? But this is, by the way, I'm absolutely shocked how much slower my 1550X is, right? Maybe in retrospect I should not have kept it, but the thing is, if I, like a year later, when new, the board was Asus Workstation Pro, the board was €330. The CPU was 999, unfortunately, on launch day. Of course, with inflation and stuff, and so then a year later, the CPU is already only 600. And then my thinking was, should I really have the hassle of auctioning this used stuff on eBay for getting less than half? And I thought, yeah, I can also keep it as a test system, right? Before, like, then you have like scammers and they complain it doesn't work and stuff and send you other broken stuff back. And like, of course, it only happens 30% of the time or so, but I didn't want to have to deal with people breaking, like, it's working here, I ship it to someone, and then they, yeah, it didn't work and whatnot, you get some destroyed stuff back. It's like, thank you very much. So like, okay, for half the price, I can also leave it standing here as a second test system, but I'm absolutely shocked. I knew 1750X is some 40% faster, right? We have 18 or so % generational IPC improvements. We have some 20% or whatnot, or even more, maybe even more than 20% DDR5 memory improvements, and so on, right? PCIe Gen 5, and accumulating to, I believe, some 40% generational T2 compilation performance. And boy, is 40% slower, right? Like, each time, I only built this here on the 1550X to have the main build here proceed faster, but like 40% slower it's like due. That's nearly a whole hour of like, yeah, it's just more slower in software bloat and stuff. It's like, and the crazy thing is, when I remember when I started YouTube, because I came after a decade of, actually I always built PCs, but my last built PC when I started YouTubing here 5 years ago were our Phenom 2 compute nodes here that 10 years ago were pretty amazing, or in the meantime maybe 12 or 13 years. And so the first generation Zen I waited because I knew about the Phenom TLB bug, right? Remember what Matthew Dillon from Dragonfly BSD found. So I was like due with all the Intel and AMD recurring hardware bugs. Zen generation 1 looked amazing, but I was like, that looks amazing, but let's wait a little for the first generation microcode and hardware bugs to be ironed out. So my first YouTube videos here were with a Ryzen 2700, right, where I got back into fully migrating away from Macintoshes here in the company and fully back to our own build PC, epic high performance, thread ripping stuff. And man, was, when new 4 years ago or so, soon 5, 2700, man, was it fast. And then I was so happy when 3950, I still have the 3950X, right? And it's absolutely amazing how fast, I mean, sure, we came from, we can build a T2 ISO in 5 hours to now we can build a T2 ISO in 2 hours, right? Absolutely amazing. But the problem is, each new personal computer generation being new and fast, like 2700 felt amazing. Which, ironically, I think it was even recently I was wondering, why did I buy the 2700? And then I looked it up. Actually, I think the 2700 was the second fastest SKU, right? I think the only, at least maybe the only faster were 2700X. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, so then 3950X, right? This epic thread ripping performance, man, was that fast. Then 5950X, man, was that an improvement. Then 1750X, like 16 months later, whatnot. Man, is the 1750X still epic thread ripping, right? And then you use your last generation machines that you kept for testing and compiling and stuff, and like, each time I'm shocked, like, wow, was that slow? And when it was new, it was like epic thread ripping, right? But now it's like, dude, why did I keep it? It's like 40% slower. It's like, yeah, absolutely crazy. JG is still using 2700. Yeah, I still use it, right? Our data AI and other loads are running. Of course, I still use our 2700. We are still using our Phenom X4 and Phenom X6. Fun fact. Hey, I'm still using my SGIO2 and my UltraSpark, at least for testing. So yeah, nothing wrong, by the way, nothing wrong with the 2700. Use it as long as it, if I would do normal even if I would do normal programming, it would be enough. I used my Retina MacBook Pro for 7 years, right? Intel Core, whatever, quad core hyper-threaded, whatnot. I still even have it for testing. But yeah, use it as long as you can. Nothing wrong with it, just like I actually have embarrassingly parallel load, as you see here, right? And it's like, here, this stuff can't build fast enough. And by the way, I don't have it even running anymore. This is this bug, by the way, not showing threads. Yeah, that is, I mean, I could even have built the 486 on the same machine with all those windows of not particularly embarrassingly parallel load. Yeah, these packages are just too small in between all the overly long configure runs and so on. So yeah, Lua is one. If you're wondering if I hate all the stuff, no, I don't have. Lua actually is pretty cool. The only thing is there's always something, right? I also don't understand the developers of Lua, because Lua peaked at 5.1. I made a previous video about this, right? 5.2, 5.3, 5.4. They only added strange features that, I mean, I would even, like with some strange features added, I would even use Lua 5.4, but they added so strange features that some of the features are so strange, I don't even want to use the rest, right? They added, for example, dual number stuff, right? Like, it's such a confusing mess, like dual integer, because Lua 5.1 only has one number model. Later, whatever version, 5.2, 3, 4, I don't use them, I don't remember, but among other things, they added dual number stuff, which, like, seriously, such a confusing, error-prone mess. That is already, like, that's already a no-go, but, and other stuff, so yeah. And that's also, like, people build relatively amazing languages for their intended minimal embedded. Most games, by the way, scripted with Lua, right? Because Lua, seriously, yes, most games, probably nearly all AAA games probably have Lua for some AI game logic scripting, whatnot, right? So let's see. Welcome everyone, famous last words. I wanted to fix regressions. Why does this build like, now I'm complaining that this stuff build, but there must for sure be a Rust. I mean, at least our contributing developers say 486 Rust doesn't build, so I hope it doesn't build, but let's see. Luke says, stage 2 GLSL. So yeah, I'm test building that for you, right? And we're mostly overdone with this live stream, of course, 1 hour. But the good thing is 1 hour. So we will test this build, right? It will probably only be another 30 minutes until the build is fully ready. So we can test install this live on Twitch and see what bugs we find. Actually, now that I say this, more people tune in. As long as so many people tune in, let's continue for a minute, but not too long. We probably eventually have some regression to fix. What did Dr. Schubert say? Start with an existing programming language and add remove features and turns if it turns out to. So the thing is, I started to implement a C-like language in, no surprise, Lua, because I want, and it's absolutely, as I knew already from my scanner driver work, because we have a scan program, right? Don't delay if you need a world's best document scan program for macOS. Try our amazing scan thing. And we have 500 built-in scanner drivers that otherwise don't work on macOS. And some of the new ones, the old ones are written in C++, the new ones are written in Lua. And it's absolutely amazing. And I did this particularly because I wanted to user-space drivers. How amazing are they in Lua? And spoiler alert, like Lua 5.1 with some additions and patches. And it's amazing. And similar, I said this before, right? I made a video some 3 years ago, our secret sauce. Also our new portable UI. We have an own portable in-house UI that is macOS-like-ish, somewhat, but fully written in Lua. Also amazing. Probably I should spend more resources and work on that. But our Windows and Linux version of ExactScan and all our other, basically all our applications, that is not only ExactScan but also OCRKit and PDF Recompress. The Windows and Linux versions only available for projects, because I don't want to deal with like all the 2000 Linux distributions, always something doesn't work. So Linux version only in project, like government tender, 10,000 quantities, and we're talking. Otherwise, we have no Linux. We have no Linux versions unless you are a government project. And so the Linux and Windows versions use our own UI. The Mac versions still use the native Mac OI 4 better native Mac thing. But that looks a little bit Mac OS-ish. We probably should hire some professional UI designer and make it look better, because currently it looks like some coders did some UI and it's like, yeah, good enough for government projects and Windows users. I'm aware it could be better, but hey, there's only so much I can do between maintaining Linux distribution and maintaining and managing all this stuff. But yeah, this is why I've started to write a C-like language in Lua, because I wanted to see, like, boy, is that like, that's more like 10 times code reduction with all the manual string filling and stuff. It's like, so basically what I really want is probably some C++ or Rustified version of Lua. I think that would be a really amazing language. And so, like, yeah, again, that I don't like Lua versions higher than 5.1 is the fault of the language maintainers and authors. If they would not add crazy features like dual number representations, then I would also like them. But if they do strange stuff, then I don't like strange stuff. So I just don't like buggy, quirky stuff. Like, don't make your stuff overly complicated and buggy and quirky, then I like it. If you make it buggy and quirky, then I don't like it. It's so simple. In college, they used Lua to write a toy language. Agree about code density. Yeah, I mean, it's like for a compiler, if you do a UI application in a C-like or Rust language, you do it wrong. You do not. It's like basically web-like JavaScript, but with also sucking web-like server client stuff. So Mesa fails. That's not cool. Maybe then. I thought that was a. And that's what we are here for, right? Regressions and fixing things. So probably they want a cross-compiler. So it's probably the first thing I recently enabled. Novo Vulkan, experimental Vulkan stuff. By the way, what time is it? A time where we can drink another coffee. Maybe one more coffee. Okay. So I thought it's a Rust version or LVM regression, but it turns out to be a enabling Novo or a Shy Linux probably for that matter. Do we even have AG? What is even the name? AGX? AXG? Oh, come on. What was the Asahi thing? Okay, fine, doesn't matter. So do we have here some Meson, what was it, Meson Ninja? What even, how do we build this? This is our 486. Okay, so probably our 486 build will fail soon. To finally like stuff built so amazingly from scratch, fully automated with T2 Linux that we did even not have to fix a bug for 1.5 hours, which is, that is a new thing. Can't complain for stuff building too good, so. It's certainly a change for, like here, I said for a reason, the last Linux distribution you will ever need, not only for P3, SGI, Itanium, but also your x86 Epic, thread-ripping latest x86 Sunver for or Intel core goodness. So, what does it, so Novo, add language is missing, native, assuming language. I want it for both host and build, Rust compiler binary not defined and cross on native files. So how did we run that? Do we have some LVM? Oh wait, it's also the wrong file. Did I just look into the wrong file? No, I didn't. Was it, where did I look into Mesa? Okay, somewhere I looked into Mesa. Do we have here, do we specify LVM already, or, oh no, it works like that. I mean, I guess, do we want to do that now? Actually, maybe we do this later, because because I want to test this build, so that would be... Ah, darn. Oh, okay. We probably need to specify... I mean, the question is also that if it works, so we have here some cross ini. So we probably need to fill this into the cross ini. Do we have code anywhere where we put stuff already? No. We can actually debug that in here. We can just go in here while the other stuff is progressing. Ah, we also didn't have that. Ah, that's unfortunate. We can't debug it there because we didn't keep it. Okay, so let's enable that. Keep on build error. Is it built without that? Okay, specification not found. So that is a Rust thing. So we have two Rust things, like small Rust things you can debug. So also we didn't keep it there. Let's enable that here too. That's just because we built in tempfs. And wow, we are reaching a record 100 concurrent viewers. That is a new thing for this channel, which certainly is amazing that you all tune in. For all new to this channel, we built our Linux distribution, right? Previously Rock Linux, previously known as Rock Linux. Now, the first 5 years from 1998 known as Rock Linux, since 92 Linux, right? It truly not fork, but truly based on, I think it's truly how's it? Truly not forked, like truly. I miss a word. You know what I mean? Authentic or original. A truly original, not forked Linux distribution, like not Red Hat or Debian fork. What do you mean with dot files on my? I mean, I don't have like config. I run most things. I mean, no, I can't leak my mu, Emacs, mu. I my passwords, but I run most things with default settings. Except tmux a little bit and so on, but like mostly. So let's put that back in here and see if just adding that to the init file will actually. Okay, maybe we changed more. Let's copy and paste that. Let's quickly build that, but then touch it nonetheless. We just need the build state and then we will continue the other stuff. Then, because we built it just without this experimental Nova driver, x86. Fake a log file, let's build continue. Get a coffee and debug the stuff. Yeah, it built surprisingly long until this is crazy. As I said, how much slower 1550 it was. So here we have now the saved Mesa state. That should be this one. Now we should have the sources. We built this in Mesa, maybe object here, yeah. And then we did run this with this long Meson line. So let's do Meson, all this stuff. Ah no, we do this from there, okay. Fair enough. And then we will see if manually just adding that to this cross ini, because we cross compile this, because we built all architectures from ARM to RISC-V. Where do they need this? Okay, let's, I don't know, do they want Rust C equals Rust C, I don't know. Rust compiler binding. Like that. Undefined constant in machine variable Rust C. Mesa cross any Rust. Embedded due to, what do they, Meson binaries. Here they want that apparently. To, is it like that, expected behavior? I agree, no standard, yada yada, whatsoever. So where did they have that in host? I mean, it's also silly, right? Like we have a cross-compilable Rust compiler. It's like zero configuration stuff necessary, except like now bloody Meson doesn't want to do stuff anymore. So host machine, oops, shit. Binaries, maybe here. Rust equals. I don't know. Do we need to specify that? Let's see if. No idea if we need this or not. Oh, it does. Bindgen. Do we not have bindgen? Ah, okay. We need. Blues also fails now. Okay. Good, I think. Okay, we skip that for now. That is for another day. There's always one more. I suspected that already, but that proves it. There's some UDEV quirks. Did I revert that? I think I reverted that. So this was just an update, so 573 just doesn't build because regressions. Yeah, that's what we're working with. New Blues version doesn't build anymore because UDEV, so yeah. This also finally failed. So we can finally debug the stuff. So one thing is that we need simply, that probably will be fixed by building Rust bindgen into the system. I saw that already. Yeah, we probably need to expect to have that simply in the system, that it is what it is. You just need some modern things in your toolchain to be able to build everything. So 486, I thought we patched that in. Could not find specification for target 486. Maybe we patched this wrong into there. So I remember we recently had to touch that because upstream, I submitted it upstream, but then they deleted that. So yeah, we patched that in here. Is that even? We need that actually. I think I know what the problem is. That needs to be part of prefix. So probably this is solved by. So I probably added that. I mean, I didn't build 486 that day. 486. So yeah, because we patched 386 in there. But that doesn't work. So the problem is that our substitution doesn't work for that. So we quickly add that to, we have here already some pre-patch thing. Is that only probably hotfix arch targets, right? Probably that one. So the fix is simply, okay, I would probably want to have that first. Let's see. Read here file i386 patch in here. So 386 here, 3646, here is, what is that doing? All right, that is, question is only the order. Do I want that here? I mean, we could actually... We could also simply rename it. Maybe renaming it is better. More scalable, then we have one patch per thing. That's probably desirable. Move 386 to... 346. So important is that it's pre-patched, so before other patching, because that needs to be created first. Yeah, our stuff, like, because we build for everything, our stuff has, of course, usually the most architecture quirk fixes. That apparently works. The question is, does it build with? What do we use to build? It's modern things. Everything builds with something else now. Does it build with make or? Maybe if you build with Ninja? That's the thing, so many build systems, even I don't know offhand how precisely this was with Ninja. Each crazy build system its own syntax and options. Questions there, what do I think of Rust? I think Rust is too complex, the syntax is horrible. A lot of my IT friends agree with the Rust syntax being too horrible. I said it multiple times, you're probably new to this channel. Too complex, also I don't like the microdependency and Cloud Cargo hyper microdependency deployment. Good intentions, strange syntax, horrible package management thing, if that makes sense. What programming languages have a bright future? I mean, unfortunately all, I guess. There will even be future for C and C++, but Rust, I mean, I think there will be, I mean, there are other languages, I mean, Zig and whatnot. I think most people will not be particularly happy with Rust. I expect Rust will have some market share like C++, but I don't think it will grow more than C++ ever had. For that, the syntax is just too alien. Okay, so that worked. Also, I'm holding over a precious cable. Okay, that worked. So far, so good. We probably... the question is, should we do this globally in... here's actually create mail cross. I think it was Rust equals Rust, right? Or we even had there, maybe we had there, did we had there that? We should check that. We probably need some way to extend that on demand. Certainly, I mean, for a quick hack for the next days, it might be enough. Where did I have that? Was it not that build? Ah, there, it's just, yeah, I had it like this in as table or whatever it is called, or array. So Rust was C. Okay, so good. Then with that, the question is then, can we build? But we need to test it another day because we don't have a ARM build here right now. So we're nearly done, right? It's only the time of this live. They had 2 hours. 2 hours with some interruptions. I told you we built an ISO in 2 hours, right? So it's still quite 2 hours. After Firefox, we are nearly done. Only Linux kernel with Clang 6 minutes. So like basically in 10 minutes, which is probably more or less all the build interruptions we had done previously and getting started. Also, like, yeah, Firefox build. We can basically in this time parallel because Rust 3, 4, 5 minutes Rust LTO linking. Congratulations, achievement unlocked. Okay, 486 probably fixed. That probably we also, like basically the things we wanted to fix fixed. Tested what needed to be tested. And like just like that after work and every day we make T2 one of the increasingly most successful and just working Linux distributions. Certainly the last you need to try for playing along at home. What language is that? Which this? You need to be more specific. That was a configuration language with shell and whatnot. This configuration language is not mine. This was just this TOML whatever stuff they are currently using. So that is shell scripting, and that here is, because it's just the most natural thing to build stuff. It's not even the big, it's just a Ryzen 7. Have you seen my previous video? Level 1 Tech. Wendell from Level 1 Tech was so kind to give us access to a $11,000 epic AMD CPU, right? You probably want to go that for some, was it 256 threads? Was it 228 cores? You probably want to go see that. Thanks again, shout out there. Level 1 Tech highly appreciates this collaboration with all the other creators. So, like, yeah, that's the 750X, that is big. And we like it. We will soon, you want to select subscribe, we will soon. If everything goes well, I should not jinx it here. But saying as word is probably most likely a more threads than that RISC-V system should arrive in our office this month. So don't miss that modern RISC ISA hyper-threaded goodness for even more embarrassingly probably builds to come. So that is here IAG. Where is our ARM? Did I disable that? There is a chance I disabled AGX Asahi stuff. Where was that even? I don't instantly see that there. What was the name of the, was it not AGX? Maybe I disabled it because it didn't build anymore or whatnot. Or I didn't even commit enable that. Disable Asahi until we build libclc, right? Libclc. What was libclc? I started to package that. What was even? That was a OpenCL. What was with that thing? Even does this build now? Because there was some. Maybe this was why I added Spear 5 tools. Right, now that I see that there was something like that libclc. So I added that because of course I did, but sometimes the stuff that I add is not yet Here, Spear target requested, but Spear v2 is not installed. What do you mean with that, so? Okay, probably that is something for another day. Like, basically, how should we wire that up? But here are some. Why does it not want to use those? Maybe it also needs, there's also LVM translator. So yeah, okay, still, I guess I need to put this on my to-do. Here, enable Mesa, that probably should have a higher priority than either plug and play. That's it for this build. It went surprisingly better than I expected. Certainly a testament to all our daily work and live streams here on T2 Linux. Hope you enjoyed or learned something. We can finalize that. All right, also yeah, commit that. That is working. Basically, we can commit that then. Was see of fixing, actually fixing, fixed. Was see 3486 pre-patch target enablement. So yeah, one fix there, one live stream there. See you in a minute in Twitch. And otherwise, hope you enjoyed this and have a good day, night. Go fix some things and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe.